Hello everyone, my name is Ishan Jolly, also known as the JollyLegend, and welcome to this video where I'm going over the best GOXLR settings and setup for the Blue Ember microphone. So, let's get into this. So, please note that I've just moved house, and I'm recording this from my new bedroom, which is a pretty large room with no acoustic treatment and hardwood floors. So compared to my previous videos, which were all shot in a sound-treated voiceover studio with 4-inch thick acoustic insulation on every one of the walls and an acoustic foam all across the ceiling, it'll probably sound quite a bit different, so please keep that in mind when you're comparing this to my previous videos. Awesome. So, first of all, let's get into this. Okay, well, people want me to go live right now, I see. Brilliant. Okay, wonderful. So, first off, we have the mic gain setup. So, you got to make sure that this mic is set to condenser, because this is a condenser microphone and it requires 48 volts of phantom power. So, as you can see right there, I've got mine set to 32 decibels of gain, so that whenever I speak at a normal volume from this distance away, my microphone levels sit around about here-ish in the volume. So that's pretty much fine. It depends on where your microphone is placed. Like if you have it really close, you can turn this down. If you have it further away, you want to boost it up. That kind of thing. It depends on your voice as well, how loud you are as a speaker. And that's just how it is. That's a pretty simple way of setting up your mic gain. As long as it's at a decent level, it should be fine. As long as it's somewhere in between, good. And as long as it's in between here and here. Here and here. It should be perfectly fine. Because compression and the GOXLR's built-in limiter should make sure that it's perfectly fine. Right. So, first up we have the noise gate. So this is how I set my noise gate to. I set mine to 53 decibels as the threshold because it's 10% here, so it's a nice even number when you look at it from there. My attenuation to 69% because funny number, and my attack to 10 milliseconds and my release to 200 milliseconds. Attack, you would be as fast as possible, so as soon as you start speaking, it opens up. And release, I set 200 milliseconds because it just kind of closes off smoothly and doesn't cut out in between any words, like a fast release would with a heavy threshold. So, in my opinion, if you've got a lot of noise behind you, like personally, sometimes I use my portable AC when I'm streaming, I use RTX voice to get rid of that instead of setting a highest noise gate. Because in my opinion, I feel like noise gates shouldn't be able to be heard. Noise gates should just be there to remove the idle sounds, like your PC fan or something else. Just the idle sounds. Before you start compression, because compression boosts up a lot of the levels, so you don't really want to have a lot of idle sounds in the finalized sound. Even if it's really quiet beforehand, it'll be louder after compression, that kind of thing. Right, so that is my noise gate setup. And next up we have my absolute favorite part of the GOXLR's effects, compression. Compression basically brings up the quiet parts of the audio and reduces the loudest parts, making the overall sound more consistent and more broadcast sounding. My personal settings are as follows. I set the threshold to -16, my ratio to 4:1, the attack to 2 milliseconds, the release to 100 milliseconds, and the makeup gain to 12 decibels. This gives a very broadcastery, very punchy sound. And let's just explain this in depth over here. I wrote a script on the side, so when I'm looking over that, I'm looking at the script so I don't ramble, because I do that. So yeah, 16 decibels on the threshold basically means that whenever the volume goes above 16 decibels, it'll get divided by the ratio. So the ratio is 4:1, which means anytime the audio goes above 16 decibels, the volume gets divided by 4. So basically, say if it's at if you're speaking at -12 decibels, it divides the 4 decibel difference by 4 and then makes it so the output is -15 decibels. Whereas if you're speaking at, say, 2 decibels, that takes a 14 decibel difference, divides that by 4 to whatever it is, adds it on to -16, and that's the finalized volume, which is a lot less than original. So, when you're speaking close to that, and of course, people really want me to go live right now. Yes, thank you, Vic. Appreciate you. Brilliant. Okay, but yeah. Here's the compression settings I have. So the attack time, I like it to be fast, so it activates pretty quickly and doesn't leave some really loud transients at the beginning of words. And release time, I set at 100 milliseconds because if it's too quick, it sounds very crunchy, very punchy, and it's not that smooth. And if you make it too long, it sounds kind of dull. So I think 100 milliseconds is a nice balancing act for a nice smooth compression. And then makeup gain. I set to 12 decibels because I mix my streams very loudly and very boldly, and I like the way this makes my voice sound very, very big and punchy. And normally, with a normal compressor like an OBS, this would cause a lot of clipping. However, the GOXLR has a built-in analog limiter, which makes it so that the microphone and the audio can never clip. Like, for example, I can set it to this, and it does sound like it's clipping, but it never actually reaches the threshold. I'll probably turn that down in editing for you because it'll still sound very loud, but like, for how loud it actually is, let me just get rid of my on-screen chat for a second. Gotta love my community. They're absolutely fantastic. There you go. Now it's clearer again. Right. So yeah, no matter how loud the microphone sound is, the analog limiter will prevent clipping. So your mic will never distort. It can sound very loud if you set this up incorrectly like I just did. Set the gain to the maxed out. But it's not too bad. Right, and that is compression. And next up is equalization. This is something you can do in many different ways. Like in previous videos, I've just given a flat EQ preset with something that I like the sound of. But the thing is, you might not like the sound of, it may not suit your voice, that kind of thing. So, you can just have it flat. Like this is the basic sound of the microphone compressed, and that's one of the presets I have selected for me. Flat and compressed, so there's no EQ and just compression, so the volume is nice and loud and good, and it can sound consistent over a stream. But there's no equalization, you're just hearing the mic straight out of the box, basically. And then I have light EQ. I've made sure that before the stream everything is set the exact same as it is on the one in the video we've just shown so far, and it's just the equalization's different. So first off, I would recommend pretty much everyone just to set this to -9, because human voices don't really go below 50 Hz. So getting rid of this just gets rid of like really low rumbly sound that just isn't necessary in your voice. So that's how I'd set it there. And then just for a light EQ, I'd boost the treble by a little bit. 1 at 4 kHz, 2 at both 8 and 16 kHz. And I just give a small boost at 63 Hz because that just gives a small bit of like warmth, basically. So that's like a very sort of light EQ. And we also have like a mid EQ. This is what I've called it at least. Where it's the same thing at the 31 Hz, but a bit more boost in the bass region at 63 and 125 Hz. And I've scooped out at 250 Hz and 500 Hz to get rid of some of that boxy, muddy sound that you get in the higher mids, the lower mids and upper bass region. And just basically the same boost with a bit more 16 kHz for a bit more sparkle in the mid EQ. And now we have the heavy EQ. So this is an EQ that I really like to use because it's very, very bold, very bright, very crisp, very clean, very easy to hear, and it just sounds very epic because it's got a lot of bass boost. It's got the cut in the lower mids, upper bass to get some more clarity and less muddiness, and then like a pretty strong treble boost, so it's very clear, very crisp, very articulate. And that's just how I like to have a very heavy sort of EQ style. And thing is, you can easily switch between any of these and have the way it sounds like that, and you can just switch between them because the GOXLR has mic profiles, and you can enjoy all the different ways to have the microphone sound. For demonstration purposes, let's just leave it on a heavy EQ, because why not? And it'll demonstrate a De-Esser better anyway. I personally don't like the sound of a De-Esser, because a De-Esser, what it does is it takes the S sounds in a voice and reduces its volume. That's its purpose, right? Because some people, their S sounds sound very annoying when going into a microphone. Because, well, I personally don't, because of my accent, the way my voice sounds. I don't have very strong sibilants. But say if I talk in an American accent with like heavy sibilants and like a radio voice, maybe the sound's a bit more annoying. The S sounds. Sibilant, sexy, smoking, style. That kind of stuff, you know? It just, maybe it makes it like so, I don't know what I'm trying to go with that. But basically, the more you increase the sound, the less the S sounds come across. Smoking, sexy style. Smoking, sexy style. Smoking, sexy style. Smoking, sexy style. That kind of stuff. It reduces the S sounds in a voice. So I don't like it because it removes like the sparkle. I don't know how to describe it, but the upper treble has like a sparkle that it adds to your voice when you boost it or when you don't boost it, etc. That the De-Esser does remove. But like, hey, if you do find your voice sounds too harsh at times, just make those S sounds like I was doing earlier. Smoking, sexy style. Smoking, sexy style. And just keep going up and make sure you have in-ear monitoring so you can hear these changes being made. Smoking, sexy style. And you can hear the S sounds aren't like that emphasized anymore. But I personally don't like this because in my headphones it makes me sound like I've got a bit of a lisp. But hey, maybe you like it because it's reduced some of the harshness in my voice. I like it and I call it sparkle, but some other people might call it harshness. So maybe like a 10% or a 20% or a 15% de-esser works for you guys. There you go, but I personally don't like it. Right, so those are the GOXLR settings and setup that I have for the Blue Ember. Like this microphone, I got for £70, bro. £70. Like that is genuinely a really good deal. Because like this genuinely sounds really nice. Like I used this for a stream just now. And it was perfectly good. Like I normally use a microphone 10 times the price of this. This is £60, like £70 or $100. This microphone is $1,000. I think I got this for £600, but I bought this used. Like it was barely used, but still it was used on eBay. And let me just demonstrate how they sound in comparison with the same settings. Yeah, so now you're listening to my $1,000 Sennheiser microphone with the exact same settings. Like, yeah, this does sound better. This may be a bit too loud because this microphone... That may be a bit too loud because this microphone does require a bit less gain. So I adjusted the gain just a tiny bit down by about 5 decibels there in the mic setup. So, but yeah, this is my $1,000 microphone with these settings that honestly you may like less because this microphone, it's built to be very clear, to cut through a mix. So a heavy EQ style like this may make this a bit too sharp sounding. So something like this, the light EQ style, would work better on a microphone like this, which is very bright, very piercing. And this kind of sound is what you would get out of it, right? But hey, this is how a $1,000 microphone sounds like compared to the $100 microphone through the TC Helicon GOXLR. Now back to the main mic. And here we are back on the Blue Ember microphone with the heavy EQ preset that I made. But there we go. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you I hope that this helped you out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'd love to hang out with you guys over at twitch.tv/JollyLegend. So there we are. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you all later, and goodbye.